time.
Hey, like usual. Hey everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Doane Show. You're here and so are we. Live on the planet Earth, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is Universal Time minus 5 hours. This is the Jimmy Doane Show. We do this twice a week at Wednesdays and Sundays. And I'm in the studio with Dr. Doane. Today is the 16th day of February 2020. You can find us around the web in audio format if you search for Doane, or you can find us on YouTube and Twitter in video format with all the subjects time-stamped later on today. That'll be my plan anyway. So, welcome to the show. We're starting off in our home studio here.
Good deal.
Hey.
Well,
By the bay.
Little local news, just to start things off. The Daytona 500.
Yes.
Has it ended yet? I
don't think so.
It's 500 miles, right?
It takes a while.
Is it 24 hours or something, or however? I don't know. Anyway, but the Trumpster did a flyover in Air Force One. Literally, I saw a picture of it. He was maybe 100 feet off the ground.
Oh yeah,
in Air Force One, down the track.
Buzzed him. Huh?
He buzzed him.
Yeah.
And of course, big cheer. Then he came over, and he of course, whenever he travels with the Beast.
Right.
The Beast is the 20-ton bulletproof
limousine
with every possible protection you can imagine.
Sure.
So he did a lap in the Beast.
Around the track?
Around the track, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing to do.
No, it's what he did.
Oh, good. I was just going to
No, he did a lap. I mean, and of course, there's a lot of other cars, protective cars and everything, but all of them did a lap around the track.
Wow, nice.
So then he was appointed Grand Marshal, and he got to do the Start Your Engines.
Right.
And, of course, the crowd of, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000, whatever. There's lots of people.
Not that many.
100,000 at least in the stands. I know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the stands hold 100 grand.
Dang, that's a lot of people.
I was talking to my sister-in-law, and she said there were 200,000 people there. But I don't know. Those might be Trump numbers.
Right.
So, but the stands do hold 100 grand. I mean, our little stadium here holds 92,000. So, when you realize that this is 92,000 here, and all it encloses is a football field. Now they've got a stadium that is all around the track, which is like acres and acres.
Oh, okay.
So you can see why.
I can stuff some folks in.
I've got plenty of room for seats.
Isn't it funny that the verb trumped up fits so perfectly?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no, it's great. I mean, see, somebody chose that name a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So anyway, moving on. We're going to start. We got lots of news today. First on the list, of course, is we're still going to talk a little bit about the coronavirus.
Right.
A little bit. It still seems to be expanding somewhat. And as I said in the last show, I'm wondering if this is not the Black Swan event.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why. China is the second largest, if you by any measure you want, second largest manufacturing entity in the world. And here's some of the things that have happened. Of course, you don't get to hear anything out of China. I mean, they have a pretty tight clamp on everything. But we have learned that there are literally untold millions of people, tens of millions, if not more, of people that have been had the bubble around them. That they can't go anyplace.
Right.
They've been cordoned off. And so what happens is, now I understand that Apple's going to open up their plant sometime later, maybe, but a lot of people are not going to work. Just not going. And they have now automatically, because of the way this stuff is spread around, even what they know is that they're not touching anybody anymore, no shaking of hands, and that kind of stuff. That they're paranoid. And here's a country with 1 billion people in it, and they want to stay alone, out of a crowd. Well, good luck. I mean, so the crowds, they've showed some pictures of some of the streets in some of the cities of, city of 7 or 8 or 10 million, streets are deserted.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the videos from last week and it was questionable whether or not they were set up or not. And I don't know. I mean, you're talking about economic output, which is easier to measure.
Well, that's right. Well, here they have proxies.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they have proxies to tell you.
You can tell what ships are leaving and coming into different
Not only
ports and
that,
stuff.
you can tell about real daily consumption of coal.
Right.
Proxy electricity, which is a proxy for electricity usage, and then traffic congestion levels are another proxy for commerce and mobility. And so, and there's several other proxies that they look at. And they're all down.
So our satellite images are showing nobody's going outside?
I don't know about that, but I mean, I did see some images. Now again, you don't know if this stuff is who's putting it up there.
Right.
I mean, might be some dissident here in the States
Right.
that has a picture from World War II or so, I don't know.
Right,
But anyway, there's a bunch of other real-time charts which suggest there's a very high probability that China's GDP in Q1, which we're in now, not only flatline, but might crater. Because there's just no economic activity taking place.
Yeah, well, those are nice, colorful words. We'll wait and see what the numbers are. We still haven't seen enough of what's gone on in terms of the results. I mean, but here's the thing that we do know. Look, several of the cases have made it over to the United States. If they were incredibly pathological in some way or another, it would be reported through those exposures. That is to say, people would say, oh my God, we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
You know, the nurse got it, the next doctor got whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or like you said, or all of a sudden 17 people woke up one day and had it who we didn't know had it.
Yeah.
Because it's not showing and it's still being passed along or something like that. But I'm getting. I mean, I still think we're still in the jury's out period. Because,
I agree with you on that.
There's still a possibility that it could be some Asia-specific thing. I've heard some rumors about that.
Well, it also could be. I mean, somebody wakes up and they feel bad. You know, here and they say, I guess I've got the flu.
And the cops come and bag them and throw them.
bag them and throw them. You know, they got an upset stomach or something, and they run to the hospital to see, am I sick or something like that. I wasn't feeling too good myself this morning, but I'm not about it. So, but you're right. The jury's still out. But what this article does point out is what I've said before about the black swan thing, and this could be a trigger.
Yeah.
That could set the whole thing. Well, and one of the things. Let me just finish up.
Sure.
Here. One of the things that they should look at is the number of loaded container ships.
Exactly.
That would be the proxy that I would look at.
I was just going to say, within a month we'll know those numbers because the ships will have either traversed the ocean or not.
Right.
And they'll either be showing up in ports around the world or not.
Right.
So we'll know very soon. I still think everybody just, maybe a little caution, but...
No, I agree. And one of the things that we will see, though, that is not too far off, I think it's this month or next month, believe it or not, this sounds a little rushed, but it's the Christmas buying season for buyers.
Right.
These are when they make a decision on what to stock in for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so they will be, Walmart and all these other people will be putting in their orders to be delivered in September, because it takes a while, it takes a while to. I don't know how long those container ships. What do they take, a month to get over here?
Yeah, I think they can easily take that long.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of. And then, but I mean, there's the loading, there's the crossing, and then there's the unloading, and then there's the transport. I mean, all of that stuff takes months. And you have to make your bets way ahead of. And I think the bets are made in March.
Well, I mean, obviously somebody could measure the shipment or the movement at one of the locations and get a pretty good reading.
That's true.
So you wouldn't have to theoretically wait that long, but. What I'm saying is at that point we'll know for sure, because it won't take anybody needing to hide anything, because it'll be obvious whether or not the
satellite images of the South China Sea. That corridor there is where, what is it, 80% of the shipping goes through there?
Well, there's just too many people who work in ports around the world who would know these ships show up every Monday. We unload this type of stuff, and they haven't shown up in 3 weeks now, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so at that point we would know more. Now, in terms of that being a big enough event for the Black Swan, I mean, when I think of the Black Swan event, I think of a real cataclysmic change, such as like the dollar losing its reserve currency status or something like that.
See, I consider that a result of a Black Swan.
Okay, well, yeah, but what I'm getting at is that's those two things. That's the level of the event.
Right, but my point is.
Okay, I'll agree with you. I'm not. We're talking
Black
about
Swan is like
there.
1 in a million.
Yeah, whatever. But what I'm getting at is that the level of the event is something that's cataclysmic, and I don't know that that even a wide scale shutdown of China would be that impactful on us. And we have about a $500 billion a year trade with China, which in terms of our overall economy is not that big. And so, I mean, talking about 5%. So, I mean, so if half of that went away, okay, we lose 2%, 2.5% of trade. Those people are going to find other markets. They're going to do their best. They're going to go bringing that stuff to India or whatever it is, and maybe they have to dump it off or whatever. But I'm thinking about how big of an impact that may have. I mean.
Remember, there are other countries that are buying from China as well.
Oh yeah.
And when the China container ship fails to show up in Rotterdam,
right. Well, and not only that, but then you add in all the products that we got from Rotterdam via China,
right,
or that were refined in Rotterdam, and
right,
then so we lose all that trade as well. So I mean, it could theoretically be a lot more than just our entire China trade. I mean, you could theoretically see 10 or 15%, which then that's big enough. Obviously, if all trade shut down out of China.
Well, and of course, I'm not talking about all trade. What I'm saying is the Black Swan event is one of those things that is a trigger that triggers a lot of other stuff.
Right.
Whether there's shipments here, not there, people are dying or anything like that, but there's just a withdrawal, in all kinds, and then there's a chain event, like some factory shuts down. That means more factories shut down.
Right.
That's what happened in our Great Depression. Was once the factory shuts down, all the suppliers shut down.
Yeah, and then you can get if it bleeds into the monetary arena.
Right.
And to me, that is that's what I'm talking about. Is I see the largest impact. It seems to me like the weakest area of the global economy has to do with the banking structure right now.
Oh yeah, the debt.
Exactly.
Debt is
this weird debt, this total inverted interest rate situation, and to me that says that it's ripe to respond to some type of a shock. If the shock were big enough, then it could send interest rates into a spiral or inflation or something like that.
A couple things to note on that is that I remember when the 2008 housing crisis came around, I said, I said, nah, it's a nothing burger.
We did. I remember that.
And I said, it's the houses. It's the houses that are underwater.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that once a couple of the houses get foreclosed in a neighborhood, they all go down the toilet.
Well, and not only, but the secondary effect there was all of those mortgages had been rolled into securities.
Securities, right.
Bundled into these securities.
Right.
And then they had participated in this credit default swap situation.
Right.
And so you had all of these investment people out there like AIG, large investment people,
huge,
who had used these securities as their leverage, and so
they sold them to like Iceland banks and stuff.
Exactly.
And Iceland went belly up.
They did. And, well, there was a huge bath taking because of the credit default swap situation and the mortgage situation in general. So yeah, I mean that spilled into the banking arena, and I think there's something could be big enough to get that. We'll see, I guess.
We'll see. Okay, the thing that did pop up this week, which at first I thought, boy, that's kind of interesting, and that is according to Drudge. Sources close to Bloomberg campaign tell Drudge report that the candidate is considering Hillary Clinton as a running mate after their polling found the Bloomberg-Clinton combination to be a formidable force. The campaign of billionaire Michael Bloomberg attempted to halt rumors. They said, no, we're not looking, not there yet. No. And of course, Hillary had said she's, that never say never. It was the non-denial denial.
I'm in.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Wait a minute. The other thing is that if I were if I were Bloomberg, I'm not sure I would want Suicide Hillary as my VP.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'd be real cautious about what I ate. After the inauguration, I'm not sure I'd want to sit down and have dinner with her.
Oh man, we got an invitation over to Clinton's house.
Yeah, right. Let's go.
She's making us her specialty.
Specialty, right?
That's right.
I mean, I would certainly hire a taster, among other things.
And we're gonna do some landscaping in the backyard afterwards.
That's right. And I would have the Secret Service real close.
They're redoing the whole backyard.
That's right. Oh my God. So anyway, he said, of course, they said he would go so far as to change his official residence. They're talking about changing his official residence to Colorado or where he owns houses or Florida.
Yeah.
Florida. Now, of course, come down here to Florida, campaign against Trump.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you'd want to do that, but okay. So I'm giving it a probability of 0 here.
Yeah.
I mean, because for a couple reasons.
I give it a 0.01.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
You round it to a 0, okay? But
That's right. Exactly.
There is a possibility.
That's right. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
There is, because there is a very small chance. But I don't see Hillary, number one, taking the second seat.
No.
She's not doing that. If she's on a ticket, it's going to be number one. Now, it could be a Hillary Bloomberg ticket, in theory. You could, out of the brokered convention. But here's why it wouldn't be that, and that is they're both white people, and they're on the Democratic ticket. If you're going to get a second person, you place your bets, because there's still a lot of people out there voting on skin color. So,
if you can imagine.
Yeah, well, look, they think they're undoing. They're punishing people long dead.
Well, it's not only that. It's just I'm not a racist, but I have to take somebody who's black.
They're punishing the dead people.
It's just
our ancestors, specifically ours.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, that's just a reality still. I think to some extent, all you need is like 1% bump in terms of the overall population to really get a sway, and that's 10% of the black vote. If you were to shift that around, I mean that's enough.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know why, if I were Bloomberg, I wouldn't pick somebody like Kamala Harris. You get a woman and a black person.
Well, there's the odds better odd people, the betting odds people, I think, are talking about that.
Yeah. Well, I would go over to somewhere where the betting odds are a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Not this penny stuff. You want the real betting odds.
Exactly.
Where somebody's put some real money in
exactly.
there.
Yeah. I would go over to Monte Carlo and check the betting odds.
You can go to Vegas.
No, you can't. I think that it's a federal prohibition.
Oh, federal. Okay, I did not. Okay, you're right.
That one area.
I'll tell you one place you could absolutely guarantee would be London. The bookies in England, they'll take anything. They'll take anything. I mean anything.
Right. Okay. So that's
where you'd go, and they speak English.
There you go. So and they probably pay enough attention to it to care about.
Well, again, they don't. Bookies, they're all they do is weigh it. I mean, if a guy comes in with 10,000 and then there's a 10.
No, what I mean is there's enough interest.
Right.
So
yes, for sure.
You have to have a bet that
that's
people.
Right. Well, they always bet on the colonies.
That's right. Yeah, why not?
Let's bet on the colonies.
So I can't see that as the actual end ticket. I think that there's plenty of stronger tickets.
You're assuming for a moment, of course, that he's going to be able to buy his way into the nomination.
Right, and I'm not assuming that, because look, he may get the nomination, but I doubt it, because of what I said before. That is, the Bernie Bros have a billion problems with Bloomberg.
Yeah,
they're not going to let a billionaire, come in and buy it out from under Bernie's feet
a second time.
Yeah. And they certainly
I'm not good at this.
And they certainly wouldn't want somebody on the ticket who was the person who did it to Bernie the first time.
Right.
So the Bernie Bros are not going to back Bloomberg, and that's why it's down to Klobuchar or something, because Bernie can't win with the bourgeoisie. There's too many people that make money in the Democratic Party who are not going to vote for Bernie.
Okay.
And then Buttigieg is just not going to get enough of the vote, I don't think.
Right, okay.
For a couple of reasons. I mean, he's...
Well, we've got another debate coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I think it's the 23rd or something.
Well, we got a couple of states coming up. I mean...
Well, the Nevada debate is before the Nevada.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They're doing
I
a
think
debate
it's just
right
before. Yeah,
Okay.
and so what they're as of this moment, I don't believe that Bloomberg's in on that one. Although they're moving, the DNC is moving heaven and earth to get him in on it. They're changing the rules as they go around, I think.
Why not?
Why not?
And they're changing their opinions too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I heard Eleanor Cliff this week say that Bloomberg was the right kind of billionaire. What did she say? A real billionaire.
Yeah, a real guy. Well, the other one, another one.
Like, billionaires are awful, horrible people, and you can only get to be a billionaire by stealing, unless you're this guy.
Yeah, unless you're this guy. Sam Donaldson came out for Bloomberg.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
I never, in my 52 years on the, doing stuff, I've never volunteered. I've never given any money, but this time,
Yeah,
I heard,
I love the tweets that I saw in response to that were Sam Donaldson, like, who cares what Sam?
Yeah, right.
Like he's like this one guy who used to be a newscaster. It's not like
I just thought it was interesting. He's been a newscaster for well over half a century.
Yeah,
so he's
good.
moving on up the chain there.
And of course Biden is cratering. So.
Yeah, right. And so is Warren.
Who?
Warren.
Wait, who?
Liz. Yeah, who? Right. Who? I'm sorry. What? You mean there's somebody else? What?
Yeah. She's dying fast, but I will say this. That story about Bloomberg and Hillary? 55,000 comments. 55,000 comments on the one that I saw.
Really?
On the Breitbart story.
And what'd they say?
Well, it doesn't matter. The point is that you're talking 10 times the number of comments that are on a popular story.
Right. Okay.
So it.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it spikes the numbers one way or another.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it was Breitbart, so they were probably all hate on Hillary.
Yeah, who knows? I didn't check all the comments on the one that I saw, but yeah, 55,000 is quite a few.
That is.
Yeah, I love to scroll through the comments, but once you have over like a couple of hundred comments, it's
you just to get the flavor of it,
get the
basically,
flavor, right.
and see, and some of the good ones, some of the ones have been liked to the top, and those are kind of good sometimes, but
yeah.
But so interesting.
Well, speaking of other people, now I don't know who all's going to be on the dais here in Nevada, but I think there's 5 or 6 of them that are still going to be qualified.
Okay.
Tom Steyer, isn't he the?
I thought he was out. He was the other billionaire.
He might be.
Okay, maybe he's still in.
I think he is. He spent $1,900 for every vote he got.
Yeah. Should have just sent that money.
That is rich. I mean, that is he got over 10,000, just over 10,000 votes. And
see, he doubled down on Yang's
he did.
promise.
He spent almost $20 million on TV ads and got 10,000. I mean, that's $1,900 per vote. I mean, now it's what I find kind of interesting in a way. You look at this, and I guess it's illegal to go hand somebody money for the vote.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine he could have I would imagine if he'd walked up to people on the street and given them $200.
Yeah.
To vote for me, here's $200.
Yeah.
He could have saved himself some money and probably gotten a few more votes.
Yeah, I would think so. But, I mean, look, Andrew Yang tried that. I mean, that's basically what it was.
He tried the $1,000 for everybody.
$1,000, man. Yeah. A month. $1,000 a month.
A month, yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, that's I mean, they still wouldn't give it to him.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, moving along here.
Okay.
The Air Force updates its dress code policy.
Oh, yes.
I thought this was interesting. It includes turbans, beards, and hijabs.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. It's a clear approval. Each one needs to be approved.
Okay.
And they got to be neat.
Right.
But the Sikhs and the Muslims who want to serve while wearing their articles of faith.
Right.
So it's interesting to me. I personally, I kind of wonder.
I don't have a problem with it.
No, I know you don't. I can see that. You don't have a problem with that. That's right. Well, you should have it. The Sikhs, of course, wear the wrap.
Yeah, it's like a big bundle.
Right.
How do you fit that in one of in the helmet?
Well, I would imagine if you're working at NATO, or someplace like that. If you're in an office environment,
right?
You can,
you can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly when you're in the fighter jet and the thing comes down and it won't lock.
Yeah.
I can see that might be a problem, but
Well, you just got to take his flying carpet then at that point.
there you go. That's it. So I just it has come with high approval, and some of the people said, well, it needs to go more, and I'm thinking, what more do you? Now beards now are going to be okay too. Facial hair.
Beards have not been okay, I guess.
Apparently not. No, I mean, I would imagine if you're over there and you can't shave in Afghanistan,
That's a violation. Soldier.
Yeah, that's right. You're going home. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
The clinger. Anyway, this is all the inclusion business. We're kumbaya. We're all brothers in the war.
Sure.
So anyway, well, okay, moving along. Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Okay.
The swimsuit issue. Now, here's something you can say. If you want to see your subscription base go to zero, here's the way you do it. They have decided they're going to be all inclusive on the swimsuits this year. It is to feature a 56-year-old plus size, 56-year-old and a plus size and a bald girl. Finalists include Philadelphia native Christy so-and-so, a 25-year-old fitness instructor whose personal style includes a bald head.
Well, I don't have any problem with the bald girl.
No, I can see you don't, right? I was inspired and so forth, and I want to show confidence as a bald woman. She said she wanted to educate the next generation that beauty comes from who you are, not from what you look like. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is a swimsuit issue, okay? It's
Pretty
not like
much comes from what you look like.
It's exactly what you look like. I mean, there's nothing else. I know, and of course it can say, she likes dogs and she, and she eats yogurt on Fridays. Or what? I mean, you
if
can
you
have
read that, she looks a little better.
Yeah, right, I guess. No, but I'm just sitting there thinking, it's not what you look like, except this is a naked, almost naked swimsuit issue of pretty girls.
Look, it's a sad fact of life. It's just one of those objective realities. It's like some people are born with, good health, and some people.
Well, there's another one here is this girl is 24 years old. Another interesting member of the family. She's a plus-sized model with 113,000 Instagram followers, and she wants to represent inclusion.
Well, I hope she's healthy.
Well, I'm sure she is. She looks healthy enough, I guess.
Well, not necessarily.
No?
I mean, there's the.
Well, how plus size is she?
Well, exactly.
I guess we're going to have to buy the magazine to find out.
Maybe so.
Not me.
Yeah, well, not me either. But you have the body positive movement is good to a point. But beyond that point, it becomes destructive because, look, we're all here and we're all subject to one another's criticisms, like at all times, or at least
hate speech.
Well, hey, it's shame speech or whatever you want to call it, but you're subject to it.
You're calling me fat? Okay, that's it. I'm going to the provost.
That's it. But that's the kind of motivation. You'd rather get called fat and do something about it than die of diabetes at some point. I think. I mean, that should be your preference. Yeah. And so I'm on the side of the people who as a former fat kid.
Yeah, right.
I'm on the side of the people who are free speech and say whatever you want, and if it hurts you, maybe you should do something about it. If you don't mind, if people can call you fat and you don't care, and you're like, hey, I'm the fat guy, then more power to you. I just hope, like I said, that you're at least medically doing what the best stuff.
It's interesting. I'm going to do a little digression here.
Mm-hmm.
There are on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole series of photos that you need to see. There are a lot of black and white photos from starting around the 1850s up through fairly modern time, but a lot of them are from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Mm-hmm. These photos, and they'll of famous people, and or just interesting. A bunch of people sitting at the top of the the Brooklyn Bridge while they're doing the painting and stuff. And they're just sitting there, with no ocean
having
for them.
Lunch.
Yeah, having lunch, right. But there's really good ones. So I went through and I saw some pictures of some of the movie actors, and I was stunned. Of course, as you know, everybody smoked. In the 50s and 40s and 30s. I mean, everybody smoked. And it was interesting to me to see how many of those actors died young, which was pretty obviously from smoking. And I didn't realize that they had died that young, but, really famous. And I just thought, what is
to be not good for you?
Yes, said to be not good for you. Well, I finally quit, but I was interested. When I'm watching these pictures go by, they're on there for like 5 to 8 seconds each one, and there'll be like 100 in a show of some kind. And but it inspired me to go while I'm there on the iPad to go to my iPhone and look up the guy's history or the girl or whoever it was. And it's just the life story and how these people got started and how they finished, to me, was fascinating stuff.
Yay, Hollywood.
Well, if you want to have some fun, go look at those pictures. I binged on that for a while. Okay, next item. There's two things that came up.
Okay.
Trump claims the legal right to interfere with the Justice Department.
Yes.
Now, you're a legal person. You can maybe find out.
Well, I can tell you, here's my conclusion on this, is that Trump may have obstructed Congress by avoiding impeachment. I think, no, I'm kidding, obviously.
Wait a minute. Mr. Gullible here. I'm sorry.
Look, this is one of the most ridiculous claims. This is like, look, here's what... Trump is in charge of his Justice Department.
Right.
So, and as everybody knows, he can reach out with the wave of his hand and pardon someone. 100%. I pardon thee. And the person walks out of jail that day and goes on about their business. And it's totally constitutional.
Right.
Now, what they're saying is that Trump wants to do that to Roger Stone.
Right.
But instead, he's decided to interfere with the prosecution in some illegal way in order to moderate the sentence down to just a few years.
Right. He noticed he interviewed by tweet.
Right.
So and of course Barr came out and said, I wish you wouldn't do that.
Well, sure. Look, because Barr's a serious person.
Right.
Barr's a regular, normal lawyer.
Right.
He doesn't want his job tweeted over all the time.
Right. Now that's right. I can imagine that would be kind of an insult.
And it's just a pain in the butt. Okay, but at the same time, he's his boss. Right. And if he wants to fire Barr, he can fire Barr just like that. Yeah. You're fired, and not for inconsequential reasons.
Right.
He can do it because he doesn't like what Barr's doing right then. They always say,
wearing those shoes, get out.
That's it. Yeah. Or I don't like your prosecution of this case or that case or whatever you're doing, your job. And the Democrats are all up in arms like, he's not letting the people do his job. Yeah, they're his employees. If he doesn't like it, guess what? If all of the generals want to do one thing and Trump wants to do something else, guess which thing we're going to do?
Reminds me of the famous thing with Abraham Lincoln was meeting with his cabinet.
Yes.
And the cabinet was there, and he says, he says, okay, I'm looking here, and there's 6 no's and 1 eye. The eyes have it.
The eyes have it. Exactly. That's it.
And I'm also reminded of, in the movie The Office, where that guy keeps coming by and leaning on the thing.
I didn't see The Office.
Oh God, it was a very famous scene where he would come by. That's okay. Oh, that's all right. Never mind. Forget it. Okay.
Well, so the point is that these are his subordinates. If he doesn't like what they're doing, he can change it because he's in control. If my boss walks into my office and says, I want you to reduce this sentence from 9 years to 6 years, you say, okay, boss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. And this is what, there's everybody's saying, well, these 4 career prosecutors have resigned.
Right, I saw that, yeah.
And it's like, well, what? Over a sentence reduction?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a daily occurrence for a prosecutor.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, it's not like, look,
Well, they're anti-Trumpers.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm
That's
getting
the
at.
thing.
It's got to be political because
be.
you wouldn't
Gotta be.
resign your
Yeah.
career position
No.
because your boss, which like again, this kind of thing that happens all the time. Bosses in prosecution situations, the attorneys general and state attorneys go into their subordinates' offices and say, "Prosecute this, don't do that."
Right.
They set the tone. That's
Exactly,
the whole
yeah.
thing. And so Trump can obviously do that. It's just interesting that they haven't realized that the motive that they're ascribing to Trump is something, once again, that he can do.
Well, of course, this guy Swalwell,
Right, yes.
he says impeaching Donald Trump first, but potential interference with Roger is not off the table.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It's like, dude, we knew they were going to go after the first thing, but this is, again, as I said to begin the segment, this is like impeaching Trump for obstructing Congress by avoiding impeachment.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like,
it is
no,
the
you
guy-
can't, that's not how it works.
The California congressman said, "Well, we don't wake up in the morning wanting to impeach him." Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
you do.
you do. That is exactly what you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't.
Well, it's like Scott Adams points out, the hypnotist, some people will tell you exactly what they're thinking. When he says, well, it's not like we X wake up every morning, and it's not like, okay, and then he lays it out.
Well, speaking of the FBI and so forth, did you see where they released McCabe?
I did.
No charges.
I know, crazy.
I mean, how do they get away with that?
Well, because it has to be, there can't be reasonable doubt. I mean, they shouldn't be able to see clear reasonable doubt when you bring a prosecution.
He lied. I mean, that's what they're getting everybody on line to Congress,
Well,
or
that's
line
true.
to the FBI,
And they fired him.
and they throw him in jail for that all the time.
Right, and they fired him for lying to the FBI
Right.
about a political act,
Right.
about leaking the stuff.
Right.
So they are giving him the kid gloves treatment, and I think it's just because he's a member of the FBI. That I said from the beginning,
Okay.
they will not prosecute themselves
Okay.
because it's too divisive. You just can't go in there and start picking people off. And that's how the whole thing started. Was they tried to pick Trump off?
Yeah.
And I think it was McCabe. Honestly, I would love somebody to check the date.
You mentioned that from day one.
Of the
that
insult.
He was insulted.
That's
Totally.
right, insulted his wife. And Trump told, and I would, if somebody double checked that date, I'm sure that they would come up with a little bit more. But I thought it was ridiculously humorous and hypocritical. I don't know the exact word. There's a Greek word for this. Okay,
Sure.
for sure.
Word for everything.
The complaining that McCabe did about the investigation that he said, we were put through hell for this investigation over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I thought it just started.
Well, not only that, but that's just what he did to Trump,
Right.
I mean, that's and with not a bat on the eyelash, they investigate people all day long,
Yeah.
and call it just, oh, this is just what we do, we investigate. And now the shoe's on the other foot, and he's whining like a baby. And what's funny is he wasn't even charged. He wasn't a criminal investigation
Right.
yet. Wait till it turns criminal. Get your butt walked through. Get your butt perp walked out of your house at 6 a.m. like they did to Roger Stone with boats and helicopters and shit.
And CNN.
Seriously, and get that treatment, and then be subject to your bail being revoked on a regular basis for 2 years. Let that happen, and then see how you like it.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was funny that how much he bitched about the process and how unfair and harmful the process itself was to him, and yet he literally spent a career in that process doing that to other people. And even in a worse way, because they were under indictment. Mm-hmm. And it's just lost on the guy. And to me, that again reveals the deceptiveness that guy operates with. I mean, I think he's a bad apple.
Yeah.
And,
well, of course, he's going to do the thing. Vindicated! Ha ha ha!
Well, now he goes on a book tour and everything.
Yeah.
He's already started, and he's
Is that
already.
right?
Yeah, that's why I already saw an interview with him, and he was saying, and Trump is re-emboldened, and now he's a supreme dictator now, and that's it. He's taken over everything, and he's going to do whatever he wants now.
Yeah.
And,
no holds barred anymore.
Yeah.
He do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as you know, of course, the the knives are out. I talked about this a little bit earlier on Bloomberg.
Yeah.
The knives are out. They are now attacking him because they see him as taking away all the oxygen.
Well, it's going to be interesting because now they do have to start the real attacks inside the party.
Well, Liz, who is yeah, exactly who LW whatever claims Bloomberg's redlining comments should disqualify him from the presidential. Now, what was funny about this was they were perfectly reasonable. I mean, in fact, if they hadn't, if the feds, if they had said you can't pay the loan back, so we're not going to loan you the money, but they were encouraged, the banks were encouraged to loan the money anyway, and that's what started it up. I mean...
Yeah. No, just what you just said, which is the banks were encouraged to loan money to people who couldn't pay their loans back, and then those loans were guaranteed 100% by the federal government, and then securitized and sold off.
Yeah.
That was the initiation of the 2008 crisis. And Liz is coming out and saying, this shows how disingenuous she is. She's come out and said that she's interpreting Bloomberg's statements to mean that the banks should have been more racist,
right,
in their actions, not the obvious interpretation, which is they should have been more prudent,
right?
Because obviously they should have been more prudent since there was a collapse,
right?
So, right. I mean, you can't not say that they shouldn't have been, Liz. You can't say that they shouldn't have been more prudent because obviously they should have.
Right.
So she's going to call this racism on his part. I mean, she should just stick to the normal thing. The stop and frisk. He's vulnerable to a racism charge for the stop and frisk just because of how...
Well, he had a pretty good explanation about that.
He does, but...
It was really good.
He does.
And a lot of people were buying it.
Well, they should.
They should, right. You go where the crime is. I'm sorry, that's where the crime is.
You have to. But by the same token, as we talked about, it's a little bit vulnerable because it's tautological. It proves itself. So you can at least point to a bunch of black people and say, look, they got arrested, and a bunch of people were released right away for doing nothing or whatever, and so, okay, maybe there was some disproportionate effect that shouldn't have been there. At least it's a possibility of a target. But this, going after this housing thing, I mean, there's no target there. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so
I see where they're loosening it up again.
Well, exactly.
Did you not learn anything from 12 years?
Well, and what they learned is bailout.
Yeah, bailout, that's right.
I mean,
when we've seen since 2008, when the federal deficit or the debt was around 8 trillion or 9 trillion, and that was 12 years ago, and now it's 22 trillion, 23.
It's over 23 now.
23, right? So what are you going to use for money? I'm sorry, to bail it out next time?
Print that stuff up.
Print it up, yeah.
Nobody's even talking about the money printing, the inflation. Man, I was in the grocer yesterday, and as I was talking, I verified what I said, which is half gallon of milk now $3.
Jeez.
And half gallon. 1 pound of bacon $9.
That premium bacon?
Well, it's Oscar Mayer.
Okay. Well,
it's not premium bacon. I mean, it's just regular bacon, but it's not cheap bacon.
Well, what's interesting, of course, about bacon is that you can. What did you say was how much a pound?
$9.
Okay. Of course, by the time you fry it up, it ends up being $20 a pound.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's just the increase is the thing.
No, it's
phenomenal. The drastic increase. And there was something else I bought, which the price was just ridiculous. And
I use tuna fish as my barometer. I haven't bought it.
Oh, I know what it was. I didn't buy it, but Disney came out with their new prices. Disney, and this is another.
This is to go to the park.
Yes.
Okay.
This is another metric that I commonly refer to as the Disney pricing metric. Disney now, the prices range depending on what day you go from $169 to $209.
Holy shit!
Finally broke the 200 mark.
Well, I mean, I remember the last time I went down there, it was like 105.
Yeah, we reported it on the show.
Yeah.
A decade ago at 105 when it broke through the 100
mark. Through the 100, right?
Mm-hmm. So now it's over 200 for a regular ticket on a regular day.
Now, one of the things that we've done this before, of course, is I was seeing where somebody famous had gone to
Now,
Disney.
once you get in there, they give you food for free. No.
No.
No, the food is like...
I'm thinking, what Disney World, what Disneyland are you going to?
Once you get in there, they gig you in the wallet from behind, like without...
You want a bottle of water? What? I mean...
Some Disney character comes by and just rips your whole pocket off and takes your wallet with you.
When you think of a husband and a wife and 2 kids, we're going to spend the day at Disney.
$800.
Right.
Just walking in the door.
Just walking in the door.
Yeah. And you know it's going to be $200 worth of food. So $1,000 a day for a family of 4 at Disney.
And of course, if you're from out of town, you've got a hotel room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's another $200 probably.
Well, yeah, depending on where you stay, you can find cheap.
Well, yeah, you can find a little less expensive. But although I remember I checked around down there, and I'll tell you, a lot of other people do the same thing, and they check, and you got to go like
you got to get 15
in
or 20
Orlando.
minutes away.
In Orlando, you can have a room in Ocala.
yeah.
You know.
Well, Kissimmee is where people used to go to
Right.
stay. I mean, you really want to get out of there, you go. It's 40 minutes away or something.
Yeah, that's right.
But
okay, well, I'm just about here to the end, and so
okay.
But let me just mention two things that I saw. I don't want to say I'm being spied on. But I got a note from Netflix. And they said, don't forget to finish this movie that you've been watching. I mean, they regularly send me recommendations. I understand that. But apparently they know that I did not finish watching this movie.
Let me know when you get the one that says, Jimmy, you've been watching too much West Wing.
Yeah, right. There you go. If they send me that, I can't cancel my thing because I love West Wing. And so, I mean, it is so apropos for something
that
that's...
you know a little too much.
That's right. So anyway, I just thought it was. I'm sitting there thinking, they're always talking about is Alexa listening?
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of stuff, or is your like my thing every once in a while when somebody calls me, the little camera light comes on my thing. Because it's
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, because it's to FaceTime.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, and so now a lot of people I know put tape over there.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But can it come on without the little red light?
Probably.
Yeah. Who knows? So, but everybody's all panicky about being watched. And is Alexa or the Google one listening in on you?
Well, and I saw this new Christmas gift potential, and that was a bracelet, which emits a high ultrasonic frequency that triggers listening devices like Alexa and Siri and scrambles them with the high frequency so that if somebody or something is listening, it just comes out as static.
Okay.
So as soon as you sort of start to talk...
Don't you love the free enterprise?
Oh, you love it. That's great.
You got to love the free enterprise.
Yeah, and that's going to be an app on your phone next year. It's
well, not on the Apple phone, but I
wonder if they'll have one that blocks just Siri or just Alexa or whatever.
Yeah, right.
This was a pretty general one, and it was a clunky old bracelet, but I just thought it was funny.
God, love it. Okay, and the last thing I've got is yesterday was the 30th anniversary of Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot. Which you can go to YouTube and you can go look at it, and it's about a 3 or 4 minute video where they talk about the pale. Now I'm an environmentalist a little bit, but I mean I'm not about to do the. I'm one of these people that says it's too late to do anything. Either we're going to die or we're not going to die, and I don't care. That's one thing, but. And this is not like Richard Attenborough, who is really coming out strong for everybody to commit to fixing the environment. But this pale blue dot, of course, it shows you you are here.
Right.
And it's just fascinating because you realize that's when you start to see how I don't talk about insignificant, I mean less than insignificant.
Yeah, that's the picture from Saturn, I think.
Yes, I think it's the one from Saturn, right? Yeah. And it's literally it's like a multi-pixel picture of that's us, that's you, And it gives you, and then he has a little poem that goes with it, or he talks about it, and it gives you a real perspective, I think, on just what we're about here. So I like to recommend that to somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I got one little thing here, and that is, I'm sure you saw where Michael Avenatti
Yes.
got arrested or convicted. I guess.
Convicted.
Yeah, hadn't been sentenced yet, but he's facing decades in jail.
Now who's going to be president, right?
Well, he was going to run.
He was going to run. That's right.
Yeah, but it's interesting, and I wonder. I mean, he's the guy that everybody thinks Trump is, I guess.
Oh, okay.
He's sort of a boisterous, fast-talking attorney type, and the transcript that I read just looked like a regular old shakedown. It's, I've got this information on you. I want $25 million, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
And otherwise,
Nike.
I'm gonna. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just reported him and set him up and brought him down, and he went through trial, which means you go down. So he's definitely
No
going to
plea
get
bargaining there.
Well, and I'm guessing the president's not going to pardon him.
No, I guess not.
Just a random guess.
Random guess. Okay.
Yeah, but so we'll see.
You're giving odds on that.
Yeah.
I just did. By the way, since we're here, I had left out one thing.
Okay.
Zuckerberg was a meeting over in Munich. Well,
yeah.
it's interesting. This is the thing. This is one of these things we see about. He's the richest guy in the world, right, or something. Pretty close.
One of them.
One of them, yeah. He requests government rules on what discourse should be allowed. What he wants to, because of all the Russia business,
Yeah.
and the trolls and the stuff that's the bots and everything that they've been trying to get him out of Facebook and so forth. So he wants the government to set up some rules on what constitutes good discourse.
Yeah.
He called on Western governments to provide regulatory guidance for how social media companies can identify the boundaries of, quote, what discourse should be allowed, unquote, on their platforms. There should be more guidance and regulation from the states on basically take political advertising, for example. What discourse should be allowed? Told an assembly of Western leaders in Munich on the Munich Security Conference, or on the balance of free expression, some things that people call harmful expression. Where do you draw the line? But what's scary about this is a couple things. First of all, there's the First Amendment floating around here somewhere, and so when you say draw the line, who's going to draw the line? I mean, that's the way.
All right, so I'll tell you what's going on here.
Well, he wants to draw the line.
Well, not exactly.
Not exactly, but he's going to be in on it.
Exactly. He wants to be in on the line drawing because he's realized that he's the target.
Yes.
Zuckerberg is like, wait a minute, you're right, there's a First Amendment. Hey, how come I don't get the benefit of that? Sorry, you don't. They're coming after you.
Yeah.
Now, what do? You got $80 billion, and the most powerful people in the world with all the guns are coming after you. What do? You bring them in closer.
Yeah.
So you go to them and you say, hey, let us work with you to make the rule. We'll find a nice, fair rule. And of course, you're going to try to steer it as best you can to be there being no rule.
Yeah.
And there to be just open reign. But to the extent that they craft some kind of a rule, you are going to be able to strictly adhere to it because you helped craft it. You're going to be right there at the forefront. If they'll never be able to turn to you and say, wait, you're not following the rules. He's going to be like, look, I was in the room when the rules were written. We've been doing exactly that. It doesn't get any better than that. And at least it'll give him some defense, and it'll try to deflect their attention over to Jack from Twitter or something.
Yeah, right. No, that's right. The little guy will get all swept up in this.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And they're already being swept up by these guys. Who was it recently? Somebody recently had their Twitter account banned forever.
Yeah.
And it was
the Zero Hedge or whatever.
Yeah, Zero Hedge, right? I'm going like, what are you talking about? You don't do that. I mean, it's just, but you do. And
Well,
you get away with it. So.
Yeah, well, and they're doing that now, and whatever's going to happen in terms of the restrictions, this is going to be the time because it's all about political restrictions.
Yes, that's right.
So,
which, of course, that when they did the First Amendment, that was specifically What it was about was political speech is the one you cannot ban.
Right.
Specifically, there's lots of other things, and I'm reminded a little bit, of course, of how this stuff so often works. Let's say they put together a bunch of rules. Well, you know there's going to be loopholes everywhere, as there always are. I look, for instance, here locally, we have a sign ordinance. Mm-hmm. The sign ordinance has been under revision for the last 30 years. Right. Literally. Almost every year they have a new revision to it.
Well, and when you look at the Supreme Court's rulings on the issue of free speech, what's happened is they've accepted some limitations at various stages, and they've established some procedures to follow to try to identify whether speech crosses the line or not in certain circumstances. And they've identified certain circumstances as being more or less vulnerable to speech. And for example, like you just said, political speech has the highest level of protection and requires, when you pass a law that limits it, it has to be the most narrowly tailored law for a specific purpose, that kind of a thing. But if it's just general speech, they can affect it in different ways at different times, according to the Supreme Court. But what I'm getting at is that you can't just craft statutes which limit speech, because they're all going to go through the lens of the Supreme Court at some point.
Okay.
And there's pretty broad protection still for that kind of stuff. So I'm not really worried about whatever they'll come up with. And also, this is Germany we're talking about here.
Well, it was a German. He's talking about Western countries, right?
Right.
This was apparently a meeting of a lot of different people in Germany.
Okay.
From different countries, I guess.
My guess is they're under stricter scrutiny over there.
Yeah, they are.
Because, over there, of course, you can't mention, you can't deny the Holocaust, out loud.
Yeah.
Or you get...
Well, you're not allowed to wear a swastika.
Right.
You're not allowed to even own one.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know, but
like if you put some World War II memorabilia on eBay,
flag out front in your window or whatever,
not going to work.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not too worried about it getting too restrictive, but we'll find out this election, because people have floated the craziest ideas. Honestly, my first thought whenever I hear somebody say we need to take a look at speech and see what speech is harmful, my first thought is the most harmful speech is speech that says we need to take a look at speech.
I see.
And determine whether it's harmful.
I was going to bring one over here. There's an Alabama legislator person, unfortunately, who brought up something along those lines about free, and they want to pass a law about something along those lines. I was going to bring it over here, but the reason I didn't was I thought, well, this is a crazy person in Alabama legislature, and this is a nothing burger. But now that I'm thinking about it,
people have allowed these weird definitions to creep into the lexicon, like certain speech is violence and shit like that.
Right. Well, the other thing is that we've all talked about is the thing that is brought up by everybody is you can't yell fire in a crowded theater.
Right.
Well, this is bullshit.
Exactly.
Yes, you can.
Right.
And you take responsibility for it. Either there is a fire or there isn't. If there is a fire, you damn sure better yell it out. And if there isn't, then you have to take responsibility for it. You get you created a riot or whatever it was.
Well, yeah. You could call it a different crime, like you said, inciting a riot. You don't have to have a restriction against that. But also, the thing about that analogy is that nobody runs when you scream fire in a crowded theater.
Right.
You don't get the trampling effect that Oliver Wendell Holmes imagined as being the harm from the speech. And when you go through his other analogy, there's other times and places where he imagines speech being harmful, they all break down in analysis.
Right.
And you get back to, well, the speech wouldn't have been bad if those idiots hadn't picked up those bats and ran into the crowd or something.
Yeah.
It's like they took a different act that was over and above the speech, and so you don't have to restrict the speech in any way.
They do that down here all the time. When they're getting ready to do something, somebody will come and give this off-the-wall scenario. Well, what happens if the rowboat comes in and attacks this, that, the other thing, and you're saying, what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, it's like this cause and effect thing. Like I heard Scott Adams say that he was upset at Manafort for evading taxes because it was as if Manafort stole money from him by evading taxes. And I'm like, no. He stopped somebody from stealing money from him.
Right.
Okay? That doesn't mean that
Taxation is theft.
That's right. They came and stole your money anyway, okay?
Yeah.
And if maybe they stole some more because they couldn't steal some from him,
right.
But that's not his fault. He didn't cause them to steal that money from you. And so that's the kind of cause and effect we're seeing with the speech thing too. But
you do, and of course what they do is they come out. Some of the Supreme Court, one of the best books ever out there is called The Dirty Dozen, which outlines 12 Supreme Court cases that really were off the wall, crazy talk. And one of them was, of course, one of my favorites was Wickard v. Filburn, and this was where the guy was growing his hay or whatever it was on his own land for his own use to feed his own animals, and the people came by and said, well, you're affecting interstate commerce because you're not buying wheat from somebody,
right.
And you're sitting there thinking, wait a minute, are you crazy?
Stupidest argument ever. And Clarence Thomas later pointed out that the bake sale at the church could be federally regulated under that theory, because if every church had a bake sale, nobody would go to the bakeries that week, and it would affect interstate commerce. So no, you can't do that. But if you really want an analysis of that, you can read my essay online.
And where would that be?
It's on Amazon, and it's at the back of my book also. It's 34 pages of pithy legal stuff.
Yes.
So.
And where would it be? Under
Curtis Elmore.
Okay, Curtis Elmore.
On Amazon.
Okay, go look for that.
It's a memorandum of law tracing the history, the development of the power of the federal government from way back.
Which is now unlimited.
Well, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Under the latest standard, they still have to promulgate a rational relationship between their law and the desired effect. They still have to claim that there's a rational relationship between those two things. That's the only legal standard left, according to the Supreme Court, for validation of a federal statute at this point.
So we're about done.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Mm-hmm. We'll be back Wednesday. Hope everybody had a nice Valentine's Day 2 days ago.
Yeah. Hey, Jeffrey, good to see you, sir. All right. These tracks brought to you by Kevin MacLeod. Thank you, Kevin.
Did any of your Mensa people show up?
That's a good question. I guess not live, but maybe later. So, all right, y'all. We'll see you on the 19th. I'm Counselor Curtis, and this has been the Jimmy Doane Show.